regular city council meeting, surplus property authority board special meeting, and a closed session meeting to start off the evening. Welcome to the closed session portion of the city council meeting of June 21st, 2021. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time now is 5:47, excuse me. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920 and the orders of the Ventura County Public Health Officer issued March 20th, 2020. Stay well at home. Madam Clerk, can we please have a roll call?
Member Hernandez?
Present.
Councilmember Martinez?
Present.
Councilmember Perez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins?
Here.
And Mayor Gano?
Here. Madam Clerk, are there any closed session general public comments?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney, could you please read the closed session item into the record?
Absolutely, Mayor Gama. We have one agenda item for closed session tonight. It is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. The property in question is the vacant property on the west side of Market Street between Scott Street and Port Hueneme Road, bearing APN 20609009125 and suffix 305. The agency negotiators are Brad Connors, the city manager, Charles Green, the city attorney, Kevin Spalding, myself, deputy city attorney, Stephen Kinney of Karis Navigating, and the negotiating parties are the city of Port Hueneme and the Oxnard Harbor District. Under negotiation is the price and terms of payment.
Do any council members have any conflicts to disclose for the listed closed session agenda item?
Yes, I live right across from that property.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinez. How do we remove Councilmember Martinez from the closed session item?
Councilmember Martinez, I can put you in the waiting room and allow you to rejoin once the issue has concluded.
Okay. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. We are now going to recess to closed session. The time now is 5:49 p.m. and the city council will recess to closed session.
Mayor, if you just give me one moment.
Welcome to the regular city council meeting of June 21st, 2021, and the special meetings of the Surplus Property Authority and the Port Hueneme Housing Authority. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time now is 6:31 p.m. Please stand and join me for the flag salute. We're going to wait for our screen flag to appear. There it is. Place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Executive Order N-2920 and the orders of the Ventura County Public Health Officer issued March 20th, 2020, stay well at home order. The council chambers has been closed to the public, and council members and staff are participating remotely to help play our part in minimizing the spread of COVID-19. The public was informed in advance of the meeting how to submit all public comments to our city clerk. The city clerk has compiled all submissions, and those received prior to the 5 p.m. deadline today were forwarded to the entire city council for review prior to the meeting. They will also be read into and part of the official meeting record. Madam Clerk, will you please take roll?
Councilmember Hernandez.
Present.
Councilmember Martinez. I do not see Councilmember Martinez online. Councilmember Perez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins.
Here.
And Mayor Gama.
Here. Mr. City Attorney, will you please provide a closed session report?
Thank you, Mayor Gama. There were no reportable actions taken in closed session this evening.
Thank you. Tonight's inspiration is going to be provided by Councilmember Hernandez. Excuse me for that slip of the tongue. And if you're ready, please.
I am. Thank you very much. In preparing to deliver the moment of inspiration for tonight's meeting, I was reflecting on two major events that we celebrated this month. One being Juneteenth, which was actually signed into law and enacted the very next day. Juneteenth is the celebration of the end of slavery, but it's the date when the last of the remaining individuals were in slavery were actually informed that they were no longer slaves, that they were free. And it actually happened 2.5 years after President Lincoln signed the Abolition Act. So there was that event. And then this morning and throughout June, agencies have been raising the progress flag in honor of Pride Month. And so trying to figure out how to intertwine or discuss one or the other, I decided there's a common thread with both events. And both events and both celebrations have to do with the marginalization of U.S. citizens and people here in the United States. And while we do these things, we raise the flag and we we read proclamations, and we pay homage to the Juneteenth celebration. I think our actions are more important in recognizing these events than anything. These are more than just symbolic gestures. They're more than just photo opportunities for us. And I think for elected officials, it means that these are areas that we have to pay attention to. These are areas of need that we have to somehow incorporate into policy, and policies that translate into equity, inclusivity, and diversity, and translate into policies that help us embrace our cultures, our multitude of cultures that we have here in Port Hueneme. And as citizens, I think we have to also speak up when we see something that is wrong or hurting another individual based on their race or their gender or their sexual orientation. And so I thought it was appropriate to share with you a quote from the legendary civil rights leader, John Lewis, who died at the age of 80, I think year before on July 17th. Lewis dedicated his life to protecting and advancing the rights of Black people in the United States. He was also beaten and arrested as a freedom rider in the early 60s. He galvanized seas of people alongside Martin Luther King Jr. at the 1963 March on Washington, and spent nearly 4 decades championing the causes of marginalized communities as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives for Georgia. I don't know if any of you caught the movie last night, Selma. It was on channel, I think it was on channel 2, very well done movie, and talked all about the march in Selma, the horrific violence that was perpetrated against the Black communities who were fighting for their right to vote. It was already given to them, but they actually had to fight for it and to protest for it. In any event, the quote I want to share with you is from John Lewis, and he says, "We all live in the same house. We all must be part of the effort to hold down our little house," which to me means our United States, our democracy. "When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, do something about it. Say something, have the courage, have the backbone, get in the way, walk with the wind. It's gonna all work out." So that's my moment of inspiration. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
Move to approve.
I'll second it. Madam Clerk, will you please take a roll call vote?
Pro Tem Rollins,
Yes.
Mayor Gama,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, I was just thinking, do we want to acknowledge that Councilmember Martinez is now with us? As he wasn't with us at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes, sir, thank you. I notated that he joined the meeting at 6:34, so the minutes will reflect that appropriately.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to call the Special Housing Authority meeting to order and ask the clerk to take roll.
Member Brown? Oh, sir, I think you have your mic on mute. We'll let you work on getting that unmuted.
Hey, member, I'm going to click a button to help out here.
I do see that he's present, so I'll notate that. And Member Hernandez?
Okay.
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Perez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rollins?
Here.
And Chair
And I'm-
Gama? Okay.
Yes, I hear Member Brown.
Thank you, sir. All present.
Okay, let's see. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda for the Housing Authority?
I move approval of the Housing Authority agenda.
Thank you. And I'll second that. Madam Clerk, will you take a roll call vote, please?
Member Hernandez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rollins?
Yes.
Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Perez?
Yes.
And Chair Gama?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Madam Clerk, are there any general public comments for the Housing Authority?
No, sir.
Thank you. We're now moving on to the consent calendar agenda for the Housing Authority. Item number 1, the minutes of the Housing Authority special meeting of April 26, 2021. And item number 2, receive and file the finance cash disbursements for April 21st, 2021 through June 14th, 2021. The recommendation is to receive and file the disbursements. And may I have a motion and a second?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it, and I just want to make one correction. I didn't read the recommendation for the minutes, and the recommendation is to approve the Housing Authority minutes. Sorry about that. And I'll second the motion to approve the consent calendar. Can you take a roll call vote, please? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor Gama,
Yes.
Member Martinez,
Yes.
Member Perez.
Yes.
Member Brown,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Rollins.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We're moving on to business items for the Housing Authority. We're going to approve the fiscal year 2021 mid-year budget modifications, and staff will make a report. And I believe we have Gabby Basua to make the report on behalf of staff.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Gama, Vice Chair Rollins, members of the board and staff. The item before you this evening is a staff recommendation that the Housing Authority Board approve the recommended budget adjustments for the fiscal year 2021 for the Housing Authority. In your package, you should have received the updated projections and revenues and expenditures for the Housing Authority. I'm going to highlight just a few of them for you. We are anticipating additional revenue for the Housing Authority. We had budgeted $460,000. We expect to end the year at a little bit over $500,000. Also, our subsidy for the Housing Authority went up from $190,000 to $233,000. I'm also going to highlight some additional money that was spent that we did not anticipate. We had to renovate 3 to 4 units at Mar Vista because of mold. Our insurance carrier did provide some reimbursement, but we did have an allocation that exceeded our budgeted allowed expenses for about $70,000. So you will see that the proposed budget is about $150,000. Overall, the Housing Authority is in really good shape. We did anticipate an increased revenue, about $187,000, but our expenditures are an increase also about $112,000. So we are going to be ending the fiscal year with a surplus of about $75,000. If you have any questions, I am available to answer them at this time.
Any questions of staff?
I have a question.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Basil, for your presentation. It's always good to hear from you. I was wondering where we can find the overage, the $70,000 cost for Mar Vista, the mold at Mar Vista. So where in the document would we find that?
So if you look at the proposed mid-year budget adjustment form.
Okay, I'm looking at it now.
Okay, it's going to be under contract services miscellaneous.
Okay, that's what I thought. The dollar figures seem to match up. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Again, I'm just gonna ask, are they still gonna put the windows in?
I can address that during the open comments, or I can address that now.
I was going to ask a similar question. So the windows have been budgeted and they're a part of this ongoing budget, or is it now being, I'm just confused because I know these windows have been a problem and I think it's moving into possibly the 3rd budget year. So is it in the budget?
Yes. Yes, it is in front of you, and we will be adding additional money in the upcoming budget. If it's okay, I will answer Members Brown question right now. We just finished planning approval for the windows and doors as of last Friday. They were approved, and we are moving forward to a contract with the windows and doors. So we do anticipate that project starting hopefully sometime in July.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm just trying to learn about the budgeting process. So when you encumber, say if the window project has been encumbered and it hasn't been performed, do those funds automatically carry forward? And does the fact that those funds have not been spent, does it affect the fact that you have a surplus? Does that make sense?
Yes. So I don't see Ines on this call, so she can correct me if I'm wrong, but they are budgeted in this fiscal year. If we encumber the funds and we issue a PO, that budget line item is carried over to next year. We do not lose that money, and you will not see a surplus because that money wasn't spent. It's going to be carried over.
So the
That is correct. I'm chiming in. I'm using a different laptop, but this is Inez Curie, the interim finance director. And yes, what you presented, Gabby, is correct. If the funds are encumbered, they will carry forward into the new fiscal year. So you did present that accurately.
So just for us novices, when funds are encumbered, even though they're not spent in the budget, they are, for lack of better word, they're not considered spent, but they are encumbered to reflect that it was an expense, even though it hasn't been spent. Is that correct?
Correct.
It will be shown as an estimated expenditure at the end of the year during the financial process. They will be reflected as an encumbrance, a reservation of the fund balance. That is correct.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I had one.
Go ahead.
Ms. Basua, I heard that you're going to ask for additional funds for this project in the next fiscal year, in inclusion of the money that's going to be moved forward. Is that correct?
That is correct. I currently have $350,000 budgeted for the windows and doors. I am going to ask for an additional $150,000 to finish the project.
And that additional $150,000 is, why is it an additional $150,000?
Staff miscalculated the cost of the windows. The windows are going to be approximately $500,000 to replace.
Okay.
Councilmember Hernandez. I thought I saw your hand. Okay. Chair Brown. Sorry, I'm all messed up.
I got
Brown.
So bottom line is they're not going to put them in this year.
Yes.
The windows. I'm talking about the windows. They're not going to be put in.
And I apologize, Member Brown. When I am talking about fiscal years, I'm talking about our year ending June 30th, which is in a few weeks, maybe about a week and a half left. So they will be put in. The project is scheduled to start this summer. So in July, you will be seeing activities.
Okay, sorry, but I forgot the fiscal year ended in June.
No, that's okay. That was my fault.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins.
Just real quick, the actual windows are in supply to be able to get. They're not being back ordered through COVID. So they're ready to go in July.
That is the hope. As of right now, we don't have indications that we will be waiting on windows and doors. And if we were, I do have a backup plan for that. We are going to start with the most dire needs, which includes Member Brown's unit. We have 2 units that are in dire need of these windows. The rest of them are in pretty good shape, but we are looking forward to starting this project and completing it.
So do we have some windows on stock right now to start the project?
The windows that we've chosen for this project are windows that are currently on stock. Nothing is being special ordered or anything by that nature. So we do anticipate we will have these windows available.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent. Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none. The recommendation is to approve the recommended budget adjustment for fiscal year 2021 Mid-year budget review reflecting updated projections of revenues and expenditures. May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
I will second it. Madam Clerk, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chair Rollins,
Yes.
Chair Gama,
Yes.
Member Brown,
Yes.
Member Hernandez,
Yes.
Member Martinez,
Yes.
and Member Perez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. The next item is to call to order the joint session of the Port Hueneme City Council, Port Hueneme Surplus Property Authority, and the Port Hueneme Housing Authority. We will now call to order the joint meeting of the City Council, the Port Hueneme Surplus Property Authority, and the Port Hueneme Housing Authority. Madam Chair, will you please take roll for the Surplus Property Authority?
Sure. Member Hernandez? Oh,
Here.
thank you, ma'am. Member Martinez?
Present.
Member Perez?
Here.
Vice Chair Rollins?
Here.
And Chair Gama.
Here.
All three boards are now jointly called to order. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's see if I could keep the right hat on. Business items for Joint Council Surplus Property Authority and Port Hueneme Housing Authority. We have a fiscal year 2021-22 continuing budget resolution. Staff is going to present a report, and the interim finance director, Miss Kiru.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, council members.
I'm sorry,
Chairman.
can you help me pronounce your last name? I messed it up and I apologize.
Kiryu.
Kiryu.
Yes, Inez Kiryu.
Kiryu, thank you.
You're welcome. So good evening, Mayor, council members, chairman, board members, and community members. This evening, staff recommends that the city council and boards approve a resolution authorizing the continuance of operation and capital improvement projects into fiscal year 2021-22 at the fiscal year 2020-21 appropriation levels. By way of background, staff are currently preparing the 2021-22 and 2022-23 multi-year budget. We anticipate presentation of the budget to occur in August. In the interim, it's appropriate for council and boards to authorize continued financial operations of the city to coincide with the ongoing functional operations. The resolution will provide a funding mechanism until such time that the multi-year budget is approved. If council or the board have any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Thank you.
I move approval. Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And I just have one question. Is this continuing budget resolution, it's for all three entities, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. So we had a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, can we take a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. And I'm actually going to call all three entities completely separately. So we'll do a roll call for City Council first. Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
Councilmember Perez?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins?
Yes.
And Mayor Gama.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously for the City Council. I'll do a roll call vote now for the Port Hueneme Surplus Property Authority. Member Hernandez?
Yes.
Member Martinez?
Yes.
Member Perez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rollins?
Yes.
And Chair Gama.
Yes.
Motion passes for the Surplus Property Authority. I'll do a roll call vote for the Housing Authority. Member Brown?
Yes.
Member Hernandez?
Yes.
Member Perez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Rollins?
Yes.
And Chair Gama.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are now moving on to the next item, which is authority member reports, comments, and requests for future agenda items. At this time, members of the Surplus Property Authority and the Housing Authority may make comments and or provide reports. Member Brown?
I don't have any comments right at this time.
Thank you. Member Martinez, do you have any comments or reports at this time?
No comments or reports. Thank you, Mayor Gama.
Thank you. Council Member Hernandez, I can't see you on my board.
I see you. No, nothing to report, Mayor. Thank you.
And Council Member Perez.
Not at this time. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Morales.
Just one, I would just like if we could kind of schedule like, I don't know, monthly updates on the window and door project so we see how it's going along.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely love to see progress on that, or when we start getting those windows installed, because I'm sure it's going to make a world of difference for the residents of Mar Vista. So that's a real important project. Okay, so any other comments, reports? No? Okay, we're going to adjourn. Yes, sir? Did I hear something? Okay. We're going to adjourn the Surplus Property Authority and the Port Hueneme Housing Authority. The Surplus Property Authority will adjourn to the next meeting with the date yet to be determined, and the Port Hueneme Housing Authority will adjourn to the next regular meeting of July 6, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you all for attending, and take care, Member Brown.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now going to reconvene the City Council regular meeting. Madam Clerk, are there any general public comments?
Yes, sir. We have, I believe, 10 public comments. So bear with me as I read through these.
Oh,
Sorry, sir.
I wanted to make a brief public comment as well, and I'll wait till you're done with all 10.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, the first one is received from Eduardo Coyote and reads, "My name is Eduardo Coyote, and I'm an environmental justice activist living a few steps from Port Hueneme. I'm reaching out to show my concern regarding the flavors, vaping, and secondhand smoking in multi-unit housing. I want to bring to attention to the contributions of the tobacco industry to the degradation of our youth's health and environment. According to Tobacco Free California, vape waste creates the following 3 huge environmental issues: an increase in single-use plastics, an increase in tech waste from their parts, increasing lithium-ion batteries, and introduce hazardous and toxic chemicals like nicotine into the environment when discarded. Recently, the city passed an ordinance to enact a comprehensive policy for the protection of public health. However, I believe this ordinance does not effectively respond to the needs of the residents of Port Hueneme, especially when it comes to youth and families. Port Hueneme has an F letter grade in smoke-free housing from the American Lung Association in 2021. A comprehensive policy would include vital protective components that protect our youth and families where they live. While neighboring communities such as Oxnard, Morro Bay, Guadalupe, and San Luis Obispo have courageously banned the use of flavors and e-cigarettes, Port Hueneme has done little to protect its residents from the harms of the tobacco industry. I urge you to support a comprehensive tobacco policy for the safety of all Port Hueneme residents. This issue is also an environmental justice issue that cannot be ignored. We are living through a climate crisis, and the tobacco industry is contributing to it. Best regards." The second public comment reads, "Dear council members, my name is Dr. Mario Espinoza Kulik, and I'm an educator, scholar, and community leader. I'm sharing my comment to voice concerns about how flavored tobacco, vaping, and secondhand smoke negatively impact our communities. To support health and advance equity, I urge you to enact policies that protect our youth and families from predatory businesses and addictive substances. Flavored tobacco and vaping products target young people and support a culture of addiction. By masking nicotine in exciting packaging, large corporations are profiting off of poisoning our children. Unfortunately, this mirrors a long-standing strategy of the tobacco industry to target vulnerable groups. By stopping these substances at the source, retail locations, we can prevent harmful addictions and related health effects. To support individuals who have already been affected by these practices, we must also ensure that cessation of services are culturally responsive and accessible to youth and adults. Secondhand smoke spreads nicotine throughout communities and affects children, elders, and families. While restaurants and businesses have largely eliminated the dangers of secondhand smoke in many public places, individuals continue to be exposed to nicotine against their will within their own homes. The U.S. Surgeon General has established that at any level of exposure to secondhand smoke is harmful. By banning smoking in all multi-unit housing, we can help to decrease rates of asthma, addiction, respiratory conditions, and other health issues that disparately impact Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. The city has currently approved an ordinance to enact a comprehensive policy focused on public health. However, this does not go far enough in protecting youth and families from negative effects of smoking. According to the American Lung Association, Port Hueneme is failing with an F grade when it comes to smoke-free housing and receiving a D grade in terms of smoke-free outdoor air. This is simply not good enough for youth in our community. A comprehensive policy should include needed safeguards for youth and families to be healthy. Neighboring communities like Oxnard, Guadalupe, San Luis Obispo, and Morro Bay have courageously banned the use of flavored tobacco products in e-cigarettes. Similarly, Ventura County and Morro Bay have already established smoke-free multi-unit housing. These actions help to reduce exposure to harmful substances, especially for children and youth. I strongly urge you to support a truly comprehensive tobacco policy for the safety of all Port Hueneme residents. The next comment reads, Dear Council members, hi, my name is Daniel Gonzalez, a community member here in the City of Port Hueneme. I am submitting a public comment to ask the council members to consider the restriction of flavored tobacco and also the banning of smoking in multi-unit housing. Tobacco retailers are up to 10 times more concentrated in low-income communities, which severely hurt people of color. Currently, Port Hueneme has an F in smoke-free housing from the American Lung Association 2021 State of Tobacco Control grade. Although the city recently passed an amendment ordinance related to smoking and vaping regulations for the protection of public health, this policy does not do enough to address the real issue. Where families in Port Hueneme are affected by secondhand smoke, the most is in their own home, not just communal areas. Additionally, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, 1 in 4 high school seniors vaped in the past month, and 7 in 10 U.S. middle/high school students saw vaping ads, CDC. As schools start to reopen, vaping use among youth will continue to increase. It's time we address the issue to ensure our youth have a healthy future. Only with the banning of flavored tobacco can we ensure that communities stay healthy and our youth continue to be protected from the grasp of large tobacco corporations. Port Hueneme must put the public community's health over profit and restrict flavored tobacco and smoking in multi-unit housing. The next comment is from Maite Ipatsi and reads, I am both a youth organizer for the city of Oxnard and a current resident. I've lived in Oxnard for 20 years. I am submitting a public comment to ask the City Council to consider the restriction of flavored tobacco and smoking in multi-unit housing. I currently have a 3-year-old baby brother, which makes me think of all the secondhand smoking young children are constantly exposed to. It is highly concerning that the tobacco industry strategically targets racial minorities, low-income individuals through its appealing advertisements and promotion. I want this strategic tobacco advertising to end before my baby brother reaches his teenage years, and you can influence the environment in which our youth will grow up in. Currently, flavored tobacco products target our youth who are not of age to smoke by hooking them with enticing flavors. Additionally, secondhand smoke disproportionately affects minorities who often live in multi-unit housing. Because there's no restriction on smoking in multi-unit housing, the health of our youth and our families are often the ones that suffer. Port Hueneme must put the public's community health over profit and restrict flavored tobacco and smoking in multi-unit housing. According to the 2018 California Student Tobacco Survey, 86% of young tobacco users reported using flavored tobacco products, and 1 in 5 high school students use e-cigarettes. I do not want my younger brother to be preyed on by the tobacco industry, which is why I urge you to use your power as council members and restrict flavored tobacco and smoking in multi-unit housing. The next comment is from Marisol Mendoza. It reads, Dear esteemed council members, my name is Marisol Mendoza. I am the Port Hueneme Youth Organizer for Future Leaders of America. I am submitting a public comment to ask the City Council to consider the restriction of flavored tobacco and smoking in multi-unit housing. Recently, the city passed an ordinance to enact a comprehensive policy for the protection of public health. However, I believe this ordinance does not effectively respond to the needs of residents in Port Hueneme. Where families in Port Hueneme are affected the most is in its own home, not just the communal areas. Port Hueneme has an F letter grade in smoke-free housing from the American Lung Association in 2021. According to the CDC, there is no safe exposure to secondhand smoke. Children exposed to SHS inside their homes are more likely to suffer from sudden infant death syndrome, bronchitis, and pneumonia. In adults, SHS exposure can cause lung cancer, heart disease, and strokes. Multiple studies have found 61% of California renters support smoke-free housing restrictions to protect themselves and their families inside units from SHS. Secondly, more needs to be done to protect our youth from the addictive and toxic flavored tobacco products. The tobacco industry profits by hooking kids on flavored nicotine. 1 in 4 high school students admitted to smoking a flavored tobacco product or vape pens. Yet Port Hueneme is allowing these toxic products to be sold here in the city. Vaping has become increasingly popular despite the high risk of adverse health outcomes. Moreover, studies suggest that tobacco product retailers are more prevalent in the poorest and most ethnically dense neighborhoods, which often includes the populations most at risk of inadequate health care access and coverage. Over 90 California jurisdictions in California and neighboring areas such as Oxnard, Morro Bay, Guadalupe, and San Luis Obispo have already restricted the sale of all flavored tobacco products, including methanol, and protect their kids. I urge you to support a comprehensive tobacco policy for the safety of all Port Hueneme residents. Thank you. The next comment is from Aliana Perez and reads, Dear council members, my name is Aliana Perez and I'm a youth leader with Future Leaders of America. I am speaking to show my concern regarding the flavors, vaping, and secondhand smoke in multi-unit housing. A ban is important to me because I have a sister and 2 nieces that live in MUH, and there is nothing in place to protect them from the harmful chemicals in smoking. Since they live in MUH, they only have a say for what happens in their home. They have no control over the other residents that may be smoking close to them. Even though in their homes they aren't smoking, they are still being greatly affected by the secondhand smoke that travels through vents, windows, and cracks on the wall. You may think that secondhand smoke isn't harmful, yet secondhand smoke contains hundreds of toxic chemicals in which many lead to cancer. I urge the council to choose the community's public health over profit for the tobacco industry. We must ban flavors, vaping for our youth's health, and we must ban smoking in MUH in order to protect our families and community members. Recently, the city passed an ordinance to enact a comprehensive policy for the protection of public health. However, I believe this ordinance does not effectively respond to the needs of the residents of Port Hueneme, especially when it comes to youth and families. Port Hueneme has an F letter grade in smoke-free housing from the American Lung Association in 2021. A comprehensive policy would include vital protective components that protect our youth and families where they live. While neighboring communities such as Oxnard, Morro Bay, Guadalupe, and San Luis Obispo have courageously banned the use of flavors in e-cigarettes, Port Hueneme has done more to protect businesses and tourists than the families that live here. I urge you to support a comprehensive tobacco policy for the safety of all Port Hueneme residents. The next comment is from Jesus Ramos and reads, Dear esteemed City Council members, my name is Jesus Ramos and I am a recent graduate of Channel Islands High School. I've been a young leader for the past 4 years now, and I'm speaking tonight to show my concern regarding flavors, vaping, and secondhand smoking in multi-unit housing. Time and time again, it has been shown that tobacco companies act only in the interest of business. Despite their attempts to show otherwise, such as creating a false sense of allyship and sponsoring education programs, it is clear that they are using these deceptive tactics to cover one of the most damaging products, flavored tobacco. Research has shown that most young people start with a flavored product. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, 1 in 4 high school seniors vaped in the past month. 1 in 4 is an alarming number that shows how deeply rooted the vaping epidemic has become. By restricting the sale of flavored tobacco products, the city can show that it is putting the health of its constituents over the monetary value, which now brings me to my second point. Secondhand smoke in multi-unit housing. The U.S. Surgeon General has made it clear that there is no safe level of exposure to secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals, of which hundreds are toxic and about 70 can cause cancer. It is estimated that 25% of the U.S. population, or 80 million people, live in multi-unit housing, and that increases the risk of exposure to secondhand smoke. Of those 80 million, around 30 million are exposed to secondhand smoke, about 37.5%. Only with smoke-free policies can we ensure that everyone is able to live a healthy life, both outside and inside their homes. Additional information from the CDC states that 8 in 10 multi-unit housing residents choose to make their homes smoke-free, showing favorability in creating smoke-free environments. Recently, the city passed an ordinance to enact a comprehensive policy for the protection of public health. However, I believe this ordinance does not effectively respond to the needs of the residents of Port Hueneme, especially when it comes to youth and families. Port Hueneme has an F letter grade in smoke-free housing from the American Lung Association in 2021. A comprehensive policy would include vital protective components that protect our youth and families where they live. While neighboring communities such as Oxnard, Morro Bay, Guadalupe, and San Luis Obispo have courageously banned the use of flavors in e-cigarettes, Port Hueneme has done more to protect businesses and tourists rather than the families that live here. I urge you to support a comprehensive tobacco policy for the safety of all Port Hueneme residents. Thank you. Next comment is from Lei Tep and reads, Dear Council members, my name is Lei. As someone who works with the youth in Port Hueneme, I'm writing to show my concern regarding flavors, vaping, and secondhand smoke in multi-unit housing. The statistics show that flavors and vaping are very dangerous and prevalent among our youth. In fact, 1 in 4 high school seniors vape, National Institute on Drug Abuse, and 7 in 10 middle schoolers have seen a vaping advertisement, CDC. If vaping isn't predatory product towards youth, then why are so many youth using it and exposed to it? Many cities have learned this and have banned the sale of flavors in their area. Why hasn't Port Hueneme? The tasty, fruity flavors make this product especially attractive to youth, and the only way to prevent youth access is to restrict it from our city. Additionally, the Surgeon General states that there is no safe level of exposure of secondhand smoke. Where families in Port Hueneme are affected the most is in their own home, not just communal areas. Recently, the city passed an ordinance to enact a comprehensive policy for the protection of public health. However, I believe this ordinance does not effectively respond to the needs of the residents of Port Hueneme, especially when it comes to youth and families. Port Hueneme has an F letter grade in smoke-free housing from the American Lung Association in 2021. A comprehensive policy should include vital protective components that protect our youth and families where they live and breathe daily, not just shared communal areas. While neighboring communities such as Oxnard, Morro Bay, Guadalupe, and San Luis Obispo have courageously banned the use of flavors in e-cigarettes, Port Hueneme has done more to protect businesses and tourists than the families that live here. I urge you to support a comprehensive tobacco policy for the safety of all Port Hueneme residents. The next comment reads, Dear Council members, my name is Arturo Villanueva, and I'm a student at Hueneme High School. I've been a youth leader for a while now for many organizations, and today I'm speaking to express my concern regarding flavored tobacco, vaping, and secondhand smoke exposure in multi-unit housing. I'd like to point out that non-smokers who live in multi-unit residential buildings, such as apartments and condominiums, can be exposed to secondhand smoke entering their units from elsewhere in or around the building. According to the Center for Disease and Control, secondhand smoke causes more than 7,300 lung cancer deaths and nearly 34,000 premature deaths from heart disease each year in the U.S. Even brief exposure to secondhand smoke can damage cells in the lining of blood vessels, making you more vulnerable to cancer and heart disease. In addition, the tobacco industry works strategically to market new and limited edition flavors to appeal to the youth. Nearly 81% of youth ages 12 to 17 who have ever used a tobacco product reported that the first product they ever used was flavored. Recently, the city passed an ordinance to enact a comprehensive policy for the protection of public health. However, I believe this ordinance does not effectively respond to the needs of residents in Port Hueneme, especially when it comes to youth and family. Port Hueneme has an F letter grade in the smoke-free housing from the American Lung Association in 2021. A comprehensive policy would include vital protective components that protect our youth and families where they live. While neighboring communities such as Oxnard, Morro Bay, Guadalupe, and San Luis Obispo have courageously banned the use of flavors in e-cigarettes, Port Hueneme has done more to protect businesses and tourists than families that live here. I urge you to support a comprehensive tobacco policy for the safety of all Port Hueneme residents. Thank you for your time. The final comment reads, Dear Port Hueneme City Council, as you consider the health of the Port Hueneme community during this unprecedented time with COVID-19, I would like to share information as well as research findings from the University of Southern California that we hope is useful in your consideration of the health of your community. Regarding secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke exposure in multi-unit housing and outdoor spaces is a serious health threat given that secondhand smoke from tobacco and marijuana drifts into housing units from neighboring units, balconies, patios, and both indoor and outdoor common areas. Research shows that SHS smoke exposure can have both short and long-term health risks, especially for people with existing health conditions like asthma and other respiratory conditions, heart disease, and cancer. For over a year, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, people are spending more time in their homes, therefore increasing our concerns of increased exposure to SHS for multi-unit housing residents. At USC, we conducted a research study titled Triangulum, which in parentheses says tobacco, e-cigarettes, and marijuana, secondhand smoke exposure in low socioeconomic multi-unit housing, under the guidance of Principal Investigator Dr. Lourdes Vasconte Garbanti, sorry for that last name. We asked tenants if they would support a smoke-free, vape-free policy in their housing complex. An overwhelming 86% of all surveyed respondents were in favor. Among tobacco smokers, 81% were in favor, and among marijuana smokers, 72% were in favor of smoke-free, vape-free policy in their housing complex. We have attached a copy of a research slide we previously presented to the Bell Gardens City Council. I will forward on the additional slides and information that they sent. The next category is flavored tobacco products. He writes, attached is an information sheet which contains research finding from the University of Southern California Tobacco Center of Regulatory Science. I hope this information is useful in your consideration of a comprehensive flavored policy. The main research we would like to highlight is that a strong comprehensive ordinance to regulate e-cigarettes, flavored and menthol tobacco products has tremendous potential to substantially reduce use of tobacco products, including e-cigarettes. A Southern California research study shows that strong tobacco retail license and enforcement preventing sales to minors was associated with lower rates of youth and adult initiation of combustible and e-cigarette use. I'm also attaching research related to hookah. In summary, smoke-free air protections for multi-unit housing property has the potential of protecting residents, especially children, the elderly, and people with disabilities, from the harmful effects of secondhand smoke. Also, the current research suggests that it's important to consider the overall impact of e-cigarettes and tobacco use on all segments of the population. However, the weight of the evidence points to a far more detrimental effect on our youth. We hope that this research can educate and inform your decisions. Please let me know if you have any questions our team may be able to answer. Thank you, Yaneth Rodriguez. And that concludes the public comments.
Thank you. Real quickly, I read somewhere that we as elected officials, when we encounter difficulties and problems that we can't solve on our own, that we need to report up. And I want to just tell the story of a gentleman that I've gotten to know who is homeless in our community. He's interested in services. He does have some mental illness issues that he acknowledges, and best I can tell, he's not addicted and he's not an alcoholic. And he was wearing the same clothes for the entire past year. And recently he was in crisis, and the fire department came, the police came, an ambulance came, and he was left. I believe, without going to the hospital. And then I noticed the other day that he somehow was provided a new change of clothes, which was significant because he's been wearing the same clothes for probably over a year. And I think he even came across a backpack that we packed to bring together. I've called the numbers that have been made available to try and connect him to services and have not had any success with the two different numbers I've called. And while the new clothes were needed, this person needs mental health assistance. And it seems to me that there's not enough services in our county or in the state to help people like this who are interested in receiving help. So I just wanted to bring it up that perhaps as a council, we can urge the elected officials above us to bring into our community more mental health services for those like this gentleman that is a very nice person. He's just got mental illness problems and he needs help and he wants help. And it's heartbreaking to see him get new clothes, but not be able to access medical treatment that he needs. And that's my public comment. And now we are going.
Obama?
Yes.
I would like to make a comment about the letters that we actually have a C grade.
Yeah. Can I just say, so I don't know what's happening here, but I think this is the comment you made, Mayor. No offense at all, but you were a member of the public, or are you acting as the mayor? Because if you're the mayor, shouldn't you be sharing those comments under council comments? I mean, I guess maybe I should direct this question to Mr. Spalding.
My understanding is that Mayor Gama is speaking as a private citizen within his First Amendment rights, which is why he selected public comments.
Okay, so he should be speaking as a member of the public, not as the mayor.
I did.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I believe that's what I did. Okay,
Nope.
so we are moving on to presentations. Pride Month Proclamation. Well, there are celebrations and other gatherings all year in support of the gay community. June has become the official month of the LGBTQ Pride themed events. How did this come to be? It's in recognition of the Stonewall riots in New York City, which happened on June 28, 1969. On that day, the Stonewall Inn was raided, which was a popular hangout in Greenwich Village for many of the gay community. The raid led to days of protests and riots and was a significant catalyst for gay rights movements in the United States. It was felt they were targeted for being gay. How did Pride Month come into being? According to the Library of Congress, it tracks back to June 11th, 1999, when then President Bill Clinton declared in a formal proclamation June as Gay and Lesbian Pride Month. In June of 2009, President Barack Obama also issued a proclamation for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender Pride Month, which celebrated the contributions made by the LGBTQ Americans. So traditionally, Pride was a big parade in June at the end of the month to celebrate the anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising. Now it's been over 50 years, and we see Pride tend to take on more of an all year long quality, where you see celebrations in different places at different times of the year. We have seen good changes in our society which aims to protect any and all groups from discrimination. Pride Month is something we all can appreciate, as we know it can be difficult to be who you are without fear of discrimination. No person anywhere should ever be discriminated against because of who they are. We here at the City of Port Hueneme celebrate diversity, and we closed our last City Council meeting in honor of Pride Month, and this morning we raised the Pride flag at City Hall. I want to acknowledge Oxnard Mayor Zaragoza, as he is the one who started this Pride flag movement in Ventura County. What a wonderful way to bring our communities together by acknowledging all deserve to be who they are without fear of any retaliation or actual discrimination of any kinds towards any person. I'm going to read the proclamation honoring lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and Queer Pride Month, June 2021. Whereas an uprising at the Stonewall Inn in June of 1969 sparked a liberation movement and trailblazed a fight against discrimination and injustice, sparking a pursuit for full equality for LGBTQ and individuals. And whereas inspired to live up to our nation's promise of equity, equality, liberty, and justice for all, Pride Month is a continued call to action to not only recall the trials of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community have endured, but to rejoice in the triumphs and recognize the valuable contribution of these courageous individuals. And whereas Pride Month is a reminder to reaffirm our commitment to standing in solidarity with the LGBTQ community in their ongoing struggles against discrimination and injustice, and demand their rights to marriage equality, workplace protection, and civil rights. And whereas it is our obligation to decry hate crimes motivated by sexual orientation or gender identity, bullying, and harassment, and reduce violence and discrimination by providing protection for the LGBTQ individuals' fundamental rights. And whereas while historic progress has been made to deliver equality for LGBT plus individuals and families in employment, healthcare, housing, lending, military service, and education, we recognize that there is still much work to be done and are fully committed to supporting and defending rights of all LGBTQ individuals. And whereas we recognize the resilience and determination of the many individuals who are fighting to live freely and authentically. In doing so, they are opening hearts and minds and laying the foundation for a more just and equitable America. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of Port Hueneme hereby recognizes and honors June 2021 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Pride Month, and call upon the community to celebrate the great diversity of all American people and to wave their flags of pride high. Thank you. Any comments before we move on? I really enjoyed this morning. It was nice to raise the flag, and then later on the day I saw the wind blowing and it looks really good. So appreciate everybody for showing up this morning. That was nice. Any other comments? Okay, we're now going to move on to the consent calendar agenda. The mayor, I shall read the titles of the items of the consent calendar prior to the motion. Number 6, approved minutes of the city council member for the regular meeting of June 7th, 2021. The recommendation is to approve the minutes. Number 7, receive and file the finance cash disbursements from June 3, 2021 through June 14th, 2021. Recommendation is to receive and file the disbursements. Ordinance amending and superseding ordinance 727 and 734 establishing caps on commercial cannabis. Recommendation, hold second reading, waiving reading the full text and adopt an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, amending Article 3 of the Municipal Code to supersede ordinances 727 and 734, which comprise Chapter 12 to implement various laws of the state of California by allowing medicinal and non-medicinal and or commercial cannabis facilities within the city subject to regulatory parameters that protect health, safety, and welfare. Number 9, approve new agreement for work release labor with the Ventura County Probation Agency. The recommendation is to authorize the city manager to execute a new work release labor agreement with the Ventura County Probation Agency, VCPA, for a period of 4 years. Number 10, award contract for the purchase of chemicals for use at the water treatment plant, Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility. The recommendation is to award contracts for the purchase of chemicals for use at the water treatment plant for FY 2021-22 and FY 2022-23 to Univar USA. And number 11, authorize the sole source purchase of anti-scalant for use at the water treatment plant, Brackish Water Reclamation Demonstration Facility. The recommendation is authorize the sole source purchase of anti-scalant per Municipal Code Section 2564B from King Lee Technologies in the amount of $45,000 $500. Are there any questions or comments? If there are none, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll
We'll
second.
second it. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
I think it may have been a bit of a tie between Councilmember Perez and you, Mayor Gama, for that second, but I got Councilmember Perez just a hair before you. Mayor Pro Tem Rollins?
Yes.
Councilmember Perez?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
And Mayor Gama.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. We're now moving on to item 12, levy and collection of the annual assessments for assessment district number 87-1, assessment district number 91-1, and assessment district number 95-3, in agreement with the Ventura County Auditor Controller for billing of direct assessments. The hearing is now open. The time is 7:31 p.m. Do any members of the council have any conflicts to disclose? I don't see any hands raising. Madam Clerk, do you have proof of publication as required by law?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a complete file of reports and exhibits?
Yes, we do.
Will staff please present the report?
Good evening, City Council, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This is the public hearing for the levy and collection of the annual assessments for Assessment District 87-1, Assessment District 91-1, and Assessment District 95-3, an agreement with Ventura County Auditor Controlling for billing of direct assessments. Adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, ordering the levy and collection of the assessments within the lighting maintenance district number 87-1 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022, pursuant to the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972. Second, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, ordering the levy and collection of assessments within the Parkway Median Maintenance Assessment District 91-1 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022, pursuant to the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972. Adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, ordering the levy and collection of assessments within the Port Hueneme Drainage and Maintenance Assessment District 95-3 for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022, pursuant to the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. The background on this is the city formed its lighting maintenance district number 87-1 in 1988 for the purpose of maintaining and servicing lighting facilities owned by either the city or Southern California Edison located within the rights-of-way. Park and Median Maintenance Assessment District 91-1 was formed in 1991 for the purpose of maintaining landscaping and pathways and medians within the public right-of-way. In 1995, the city formed the Port Hueneme Park Maintenance District Assessment 95-3 for the purpose of maintaining city parks. In 1997, the latter district was renamed the Port Hueneme Drainage Maintenance District, and the description of the maintenance improvements was modified to conform with the requirements of 218. At the meeting of June 7, 2021, the City Council adopted resolutions of intent which initiated the annual proceedings related to the districts for fiscal year 21-22, set forth the work to be done in the districts, preliminary approved the engineer's reports for the districts, set June 1st, 2021 at 6:30 in the City Council chambers, and place required for public hearings to review the cost of capital maintenance operation districts, to receive and consider any protests of the work of assessments, and set annual assessments on the properties within the district. The resolutions ordering levy and collection of the assessments within the districts presented herein are consideration and adoption are the final resolutions that must be adopted to levy the annual assessments for the 3 existing assessment districts. The resolutions above and adopt the engineer's report on file with the city clerk, confirm the diagrams and assessments prepared in connection with the districts, order the levy and collection of the assessments within the district, and authorize and direct the city clerk to file certified copies of the diagrams and assessments with the county auditor in the county of Ventura no later than January 1st, 2021. The engineer's reports describe the improvements in maintenance assessment methodology relating to each district. Due to the requirements of Proposition 218, the same assistant calculation has been used in 2020, 21, 22. Engineers' reports were used in the assessment districts as desired. Then Proposition 218 requirements would need to be followed. This procedure would require an election of an approved new tax, and the contemplated work of fiscal year 2021-22 relates exclusively to the improvements and maintenance works which are intended to qualify for the capital costs and maintenance operations exception, one of the grandfather exceptions set forth in Proposition 2.8. The rates this year are the same as prior years. Fiscal impact for the purpose of maintenance improvement expenses will be provided by the assessment charges in the engineer's reports and will be levied against those properties receiving special benefit for the services provided. The revenue generated from these assessments will be $486,373. The fees for services to be collected by Ventura County Auditor Controller are dictated by agreement of the billing direct assessments. And the exhibits are resolution. The exhibits are A, B, C, and D. A is resolution 87-1, B is 91-1, C is resolution district number 95-3. Exhibit D is the engineer's reports, and Exhibit E is the agreed billing for direct assessments. Are there any questions?
Council members, do you have any questions for Mr. Villafana? Crystal clear, very nice report. A lot of assessments there. At this time, do we have any public comments submitted regarding this matter?
No, sir.
Thank you. Staff have any further comments?
None.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we'll close this public hearing, the time being 7:38 p.m. We have before us a recommendation to adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, ordering the levy and collection of assessments for the Lighting Maintenance Assessment District number 87-1 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022 pursuant to the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972, and adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, ordering the levy and collection of assessments for the Parkway and Medium Assessment District 91-1 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending July 30th, 2022 pursuant to the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972, and adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme, California, ordering the levy and collection of assessments for the Port Hueneme Drainage Maintenance Assessment District number 95-3 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending July 30th, 2022 pursuant to the Landscape and Lighting Act of 1972, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement with the Ventura County Auditor Controller for billing and direct assessments. May I have a motion and a second?
Move to approve.
And I will second that. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Oh, wait, don't we discuss after? We have a little discussion first. I just wanted to know real quick if this had to do with, if this is in alignment of our budget. I'm sorry, I didn't ask during the staff questions, but does this align with our budget schedule?
Yes. This is required annually. We've got the 3 assessment districts, and we have to do this in order to continue to, for the county to continue to levy these assessments on the property tax, on the properties. Then this is an annual event that we have to take care of.
Okay, and we're on schedule with this then? this is the typical time of year we'll be hearing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other questions for Mr. Villafana? May we have a motion and a second? Do we already have one? I think we do. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Rollins,
Yes.
Mayor Gama,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes,
Councilmember Martinez,
Yes.
and Councilmember Perez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we are now moving on to item 13, adoption of the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan. The hearing is now open at 6:41 p.m. Do any members of the council have any conflicts to disclose? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do you have proof of publication as required by law?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a complete file of reports and exhibits?
Yes, we do.
Will staff please present the report? And staff presenting will be Don Villafana, Director of Public Works.
Again, good evening, Mayor Gama and City Council. This is the public hearing for the adoption of the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan resolution for the city of Port Hueneme. It is recommended that the City Council at the close of the public hearing adopt the attached 2020 Urban Water Management Plan resolution for management of the city's water resources. Note, the Urban Water Management Plan has been posted on the city's website for review since May 7th, 2021. Appropriate agencies were notified by certified mail, and public notice was placed twice in the local newspaper. Background and analysis. Every 5 years, the California Department of Water Resources require water suppliers to update its urban water management plan. Every urban supplier that either provides over 3,000 acre-feet of water annually or serves more than 3,000 urban connections is required to assess the reliability of its water sources for a 20-year planning horizon and report its progress towards a 20% reduction per capita of urban water consumption. Additionally, the city of Port Hueneme is required to submit a water supply contingency plan, which outlines how the city of Port Hueneme will respond to various stages of a drought or water shortage. The Department of Water Resources staff then reviews the submitted plans to make sure they have completed the requirements and submits a report to the legislature summarizing the status of the plans. On December 21st, 2020, the City Council awarded a contract to Michael K. Nunley and Associates to prepare the city's 2020 Urban Water Management Plan update. The Urban Water Management Plan achieves the goals of the Urban Water Management Planning Act and provides updated information regarding the city's water service area, water supplies, water demands, recycled water use, and water shortage contingency plan. In addition, the Urban Water Management Plan provides a summary of existing demand management measurements and recommendation. The plan concludes that the city of Port Hueneme meets the requirements of the California Urban Water Management Planning Act, and it has adequate water and resources to cover expanded growth through multiple years of drought. The Department of Water Resources will be sent a copy of the completed Urban Water Management Plan for final approval. Fiscal impact, if this action is taken as recommended, will have no fiscal impact at this time. And at this time, MKN, our consultant, will be providing a presentation on the Urban Water Management Plan update. And if the Deputy City Manager could let them in and share the screen. Thank you.
Don, is this oftentimes called stormwater?
No, that's totally different. The stormwater tomorrow, the MS4 permit, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be in a Zoom meeting with the other agencies and the regional board that handles the stormwater. That's the water, that's a whole different area. This is for water supply, MS4, and what I'm going to be doing tomorrow is for stormwater. So.
Okay, before our presentation, does any council members have any questions for Mr. Villafana?
We'll be able to make some questions after the presentation, right?
Sure, but if you have a question now, you could hammer it out.
No, I'm going to listen to the presentation.
Okay. Shall I cue some music?
All right, Mr. Peretz, have you let MKN in?
Cindy and Rob both have access to share their screens.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me share my screen.
We see you.
Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Wait, that's not how we wanted. Options. Okay, and then can people see the actual presentation or this like recording minimized version?
It appears to be
The minimized,
yeah.
but
Okay.
it looks good.
Looks good.
Let me try to share the other screen just so it's not showing the time and other notes and whatnot. Okay, can everyone see the PowerPoint?
Beautiful, yes.
Okay. So Rob, you can go ahead and introduce us.
Yeah, thank you, Cindy. Yeah, I was having internet issues all tonight, the one time that I actually need to use it. And so I'm just going to have my video off, but I'm going to go through the slides with Cindy. Thank you for allowing us to present the urban water management plan. We've been working with the city since December to prepare the plan. And we're just going to give you a brief overview of the 2020 update. So the agenda tonight is a brief introduction, objectives of the urban water management plan, overview of the existing water system and service area. One of the major components of the urban water management plan are population projections, identifying existing demand conditions, and then using those future population projections to identify future demands for the service area. With the future demands identified, we also look at future supply availability and a water shortage contingency plan for the city. The objectives of the urban water management plan is, as Don was identifying earlier, agencies have to complete an update every 5 years. And so for the submittal to DWR, the city has prepared the 2020 update. And it's based on the best available information. And that's why agencies are typically, you do your projections for the next 20 years and depending on how fast development occurs and water supply projects, you're able to reevaluate it every 5 years. And so when you're doing the update, it's based on the best available information at that time. It provides can you just go back for a second? Sorry. It also provides a source if for like new development, when they're looking to connect to a system, the urban water management plan is one of the primary documents that are used because it provides information on demand projections and supply availability over the next 20 years. And it also helps to support regional water resource planning. The city coordinated with Port Hueneme Water Authority in preparing these plans, and then also notified other local city, counties, and other agencies that the plan was being updated. It also provides a standardized methodology. And so DWR issues a guidebook that agencies follow. So for each one of the 10 chapters, they're consistent that each agency reports the same information and you know exactly what needs to be reported. And so we had started this project back in December and sent out initial notifications to other cities and county and other agencies. We worked with the city to develop draft chapters so we can get city review and buy-in before completing all 10 of the required urban water management plan chapters. With the public draft available, we issued a 60-day notice to city and counties starting in April, and identified when the public hearing that is occurring tonight, when that was going to be, when that was going to occur. And then we also made both the urban water management plan and the water shortage contingency plan available a month before the public hearing tonight. And just an overview of the existing city water system. There are currently 5,800 potable water connections served by the city. The source of water comes from Port Hueneme Water Authority, including groundwater from United Water, and then imported water from Callegas Municipal. The distribution system is about 50 miles of pipeline with 2 imported water connections, 4 emergency connections, and 2 standby wells that are currently not being used by the city. With respect to population, this is information that we received from the city and also coordinated with the local Southern California Council of Governments for looking at population projections. And in their regional plans, they had identified an annual growth rate of 0.61%. And so as you're going through the urban water management plan, you're looking at specific plans for the city and then other regional planning authorities to coordinate on the population growth. With respect to existing demands, the city's about 70% of the water demands are related to single family and multifamily uses, with about 9% commercial and industrial, 18% of irrigation, and 1% associated with demands related to water system losses. And water system losses are typically losses within the pipelines or reporting inaccuracies with respect to residential meters or interconnections. And then with respect to future water demands, this is based on a per capita method, so a per person usage multiplied by the population projections, for providing us with a 2045 usage of approximately 2,100 acre feet. And this is also consistent with the city's previous water master plan. At this point, I'll turn the presentation over to Cindy.
Thank you, Rob. So now I'll be discussing projected supplies and availability for the city going forward. So as we mentioned previously, the city obtains its water from Port Hueneme Water Agency. And over the past 10 years, on average, the city receives about 53% of the water agency's total demands. In 2020, it was slightly lower, a little closer to 47%. So based off of this assumption, we were able to base our calculations for the supply availability for these percentages. So as we can see here, our supply availability, as mentioned in the Port Hueneme Water Agency report, is decreasing from 2025 to 2045. In addition to looking at projected availability during normal years, we also took a look at water supply availability during multiple dry years. So in the past, regardless of precipitation, whether it was a very rainy year or a dry year, the city's supplies were not affected by these precipitation levels, which is why these years all look identical. So as we can see here, based off of the assumption that the city will receive approximately 53% of PHWA's water, as of now, the city is in a good shape to be able to provide water to its customers. PHWA is, as we mentioned earlier, is seeing a deficit in its water supplies, and they are currently looking at other ways to be able to assist their water supply for portfolio and be able to have a more reliable supply in the future. And now going forward to the water shortage contingency plan. So this plan was a part of the 2015 plan. However, in 2020, it's being required by the state to be adopted as a separate plan. That will not be adopted tonight. I just wanted to clarify because we did have some questions earlier. So right now we're currently only adopting the urban water management plan, but we're giving some background on the water shortage contingency plan as well. So this document is a standalone document that can be amended by the city at any time as they see fit. The new water shortage contingency plan for the 2020 update must include 6 water shortage levels, as we can see here. So as we see here, because the city receives its water from Port Hueneme Water Agency, and they in turn receive their water from United and Callegas, these reduction values are based off of any supply shortages that PHWA might see in the future. So in accordance with the California Water Code 10632, the city will be required to conduct an annual water assessment by July 1st in order to evaluate its water supply sources. And each of the corresponding demand reductions for each of the stage are outlined in the water shortage contingency plan, which is also available for review online. So now we'd like to open it up to any questions. We'd like to thank the city for giving us the opportunity to work with them on this plan, and for all of you for being here tonight in order to listen to our presentation. So yeah, if you have any questions, Rob and myself would be happy to answer anything.
So I have just a general question. With the fact that we're going to be reducing our water over the next 20 years and the available water supply as it is now, a question to perhaps you and Mr. Villafano. What do you think our biggest challenges from the city of Port Hueneme on water usage and development in the next 20 years?
Don, I'm not sure if you want to answer this question, but these estimates that we provided do not take into consideration any water conservation. So if there are any other actions that are taken into place, even if the shortest water level is in place, this will significantly reduce water demands and be able to somewhat cut the deficit that Port Hueneme Water Agency is seeing as a whole. I know Don mentioned that the big push is to find projects that find ways to basically add more supplies to the groundwater basins currently being used. So Don, I don't know if you want to add any more information on that as well.
Yes, thank you. And again, thank you, Mayor Gama and City Council. A couple of things. First of all, on conservation, the California Green Code and the California Building Code for new development requires that both energy efficient and water efficient appliances be added to to any new development. So those are things that will help us, continue to have development and stretch the water resources that we do have to allow development. And as I spoke before, my fellow public works directors and I are very cognizant of the issue of, our water shortage in the future. And it has to be a regionally solved problem. City of Camarillo and Dave Klotzel are doing a brackish water reclamation plant, which I hope to go tour very shortly. That's by Las Posas and Lewis Road. And Nathan Jacobson also spoke of that at the water agency earlier in the day. The city of Camarillo has unsuitable water, but they're building a reclamation plant to turn that water into potable water and get 4,500 acre feet of additional water for the city of Camarillo. And basically what the region is going to have to do is look at ways to recharge the basin. There's what's called indirect reuse. Indirect reuse is allowed by the State Water Resources Control Board regulations, and that would be taking reclaimed water, for example, the Oxnard wastewater plant, getting it piped up to the Saticoy settling ponds and percolating into the ground. And it has to go into the ground and stay there for at least 30 days to be considered indirect reuse. But that is one thing that's been discussed by the directors. It's been pushed by Oxnard. so that eventually there is a pipeline that would take some of that water to recycle. Oxnard is also working on their own for an injection well. So those are the type of projects that will recycle and provide additional water resources in the future so that we just don't have to go on a water diet. We do have to reduce our water consumption, but we have to look at ways that are creative, like that recycling and recharge, in order to maintain the aquifer so that we don't have to go on such a drastic ramp down. And those are the projects that we're, hopefully will be coming on in the next 5 to 10 years. And Jared Burchard in the Water Agency was also, optimistic that there would be cooperation. So that's our long-term plan. The short-term are, complying with the Green Code and Building Code for more water-efficient development. I hope that answers some of your questions.
Thank you.
Councilmember Perez.
Yes, thank you. I know this is probably a silly question, but it's more curiosity on my part. Would changing the way that we landscape in our city to more, I guess, water efficient plants, trees, etc., improve that at all? Have any impact on that?
Yes, it would. We're going to be mandated by the state, I believe, and I believe it's 2025 that we are not going to be able to water median turf anymore. We're looking at ways to go to drip irrigation for watering trees in medians, and then looking at options for replacing any turf in the medians with a drought-tolerant landscaping of some sort. And Mr. Charles Cable, principal engineer, he heads up our, among many things, landscape, and he's working on a plan. He's also working with several outside vendors at options for that. But yes, that definitely can make a difference.
Donna, Mr. Villafana, can you, I've often wondered about that plant that the city of Oxnard put in on Perkins Road. Is it operational? And I believe it brings the brackish water or does something with brackish water from Thousand Oaks?
I'm not sure, what their interconnection with Thousand Oaks is, but what it does do, they are recycling treated water, and they are trying to get it out to some farmers and ranchers for irrigation. That is another thing, is the city of Thousand Oaks uses reclaimed water on their golf courses. And that's one of the things that Oxnard is working on. They're trying to sell some of that water to ranchers and people like the sod farms. So, but that's as much as I know about that. I don't. I have to make some contact with my colleagues at Oxnard and get more information on that.
And as a city, are we reducing our water usage per atom, or are we increasing it?
We've had, water conservation outreach. That's part of what we have to do. And of course, we've encouraged that. We've had educational events. We've posted things on our website. We did have a water conservation 2 years ago on our website, and that'll be, unfortunately, it looks like we're going into another very dry season and drought condition. The state has not, in this area, declared a drought as severe as it did before. Fortunately, we're opening back up, and when we had the food truck events at the pier, we had a public works pop-up there with educational material, and some of that was specifically geared to water conservation. So hopefully we will be doing that again as we open up, and Public Works will be providing an outreach at public events. We will probably have a pop-up at the Hueneme Beach Festival and be targeting things like water conservation and also just general information to the public about Public Works.
I've noticed that some of our mediums, and I know the medium is in the middle of the road, but what do you call the outside of Ventura Road across? Parkways. Well, I noticed that many of our parkways that used to be covered in vegetation are now just dirt. Have we stopped watering them, or what's going on there?
we have stopped watering. We've had irrigation issues and we haven't replaced those, and we're looking, Mr. Cable is looking at options there, anything from mulch to other low water options for planting. I'm sure we will be presenting something that to the council, informational on that in the future.
So I just want one more question and then I'll defer to Mayor Pro Tem Rollins. So, and if you don't know the answer, that's fine. But as a city, are we using more water this year over last year or less?
City facilities or city overall?
City overall. I mean, that's a tough question, but
yeah, water, as I did the operational report for PHWA, our water demand in April was higher than March. Our water demand in May was higher than April, and it was higher than the corresponding months last year. So it looks like we're on an upswing with our water usage. But as I mentioned at the water agency, we are still within our allocation for both United Water and Cayugas Water. But yes, it appears that we're on an upswing for water usage.
thank you. I saw another hand for another question.
Yeah, just two things. Do we currently use reclaimed water, or do we have the ability to use reclaimed water for our landscaping?
We do not at this time use reclaimed water. That would have to be a separate water system. You cannot intermix it with potable water. Those are purple lines. New development, large, they're color-coded pipes. You're going to see purple on those pipes. But you'll have new development like in Los Angeles and Thousand Oaks, they have to put in a big development reclaimed water lines so that water, reclaimed water, can be used for irrigation. We don't have that capacity at this time.
And you were mentioning something at the earlier meeting about some of the work that's being done on desalinization.
Well, that was Nathan Jacobson. The Navy is working on that, and what they're doing is they again have several wells that do not produce potable water, and they're working to reclaim that water through a desal process so that water becomes potable water that can supplement the Navy. And as Nathan Jacobson had said, their hope is that they're adding more water to the Navy so that the Navy does not have to be a burden on the groundwater basin, because right now they have federal water rights which supersede the groundwater management agency. So the Navy will always get their water. And so what Nathan Jacobson was talking about was getting additional water resources from current wells that are unsuitable through desal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for staff? Does staff have any further comments?
None.
Thank you, sir. If there are no further discussions, we'll close this public hearing, the time being 8:09 p.m. We have before us a recommendation to adopt resolution of the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme adopting the 2020 Urban Water Management Plan, UWMP, for management of the city's water resources. Please note that the UWMP has been posted on the city's website for review since May 7th, 2021. Appropriate agencies were notified by certified mail, and public notice was placed twice for legal publication in the local newspaper. May I have a motion? I will make the motion, and Mayor Pro Tem Rollins second it with the hand raise.
Yes.
Mayor Gama?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins?
Yes.
Wait, are we following Rosenberg's rules of order? Because if we are, we should be having a discussion at this point. You're moving a little too fast. going into the vote without discussion.
We asked for the discussion. I asked if.
Yeah, I didn't, I was muted. I didn't have a chance. I don't know if can I go ahead and speak?
Sure.
Okay, so in the PHWA meeting, we amended the original motion to allow for possible amendments to the plan to allow it to move forward, but to give us the option to make amendments since we were not notified about the plan being available for review. And I've not had a lot of time to review it. I don't know if any of you have had a chance to look at it, but I would like more time to comment on it. And therefore, I would like to ask for the motion to be amended, contingent on our ability to make amendments at a future meeting or a future discussion.
I will concur with that amendment to the motion.
So
can I make can he make the new motion with that amendment and then we second?
Yeah, he has to agree. The mayor has to agree to amend his motion.
So are we gonna set a time frame?
Well, let me ask you, did you have a chance to look at the plan?
Yes.
You did? Okay. When were you first notified of this plan being available?
Why am I asking questions?
Because I don't think any of us really received an adequate time to review this plan plus the contingency plan that goes along with it, even though we're just approving the urban water management plan. And it's over 100 pages. It's 142 pages. And I would just like an opportunity to come back and make changes to the plan at a later time. If there are things in here that I find and have questions about.
And
I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but honestly,
I agree.
We did not get adequate time to review this plan. I don't see how any of us could have read this, over the weekend.
When we did the IT master plan, that thing was 169 pages. Why don't we just
But we knew that was coming, and we didn't know this one was coming.
I recommend if Laura needs a little bit more time, then let's give her a little bit more time. That'll give us a little bit more time to review it, and I'm okay with that.
Because I understand that this is due July 1st, and I don't want to hold up the plan being submitted. I just want the option to make amendments later on if I find something questionable in the plan.
We don't have our next meeting till July 6th.
Right. So I'm not saying don't approve it. I'm saying approve it contingent on possible recommendations later on, possible changes later on.
Okay, how about I just vacate the prior motion and second, and Councilmember Hernandez, would you make a new motion?
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the urban water management plan contingent on, well, not contingent, subject to possible amendments later in the future.
Okay, so
I just wanted to make one comment. Mrs. Sparza said that we are going to, well, this will be and I agree with the motion, by the way, but this is a living document, and there'll be amendments going on for the next 5 years on this. So as we, it's a plan right now, and as we move forward, we don't know what the population changes are, the development changes, or whatever. So this will be a continual amended plan. Am I correct?
So my concern is the way the motion is being presented. It sounds like council members are going to make individual amendments, and I don't think that's possible. They can make suggestions for amendments, and if this is a living document, then that process is already in place. So if there are, if I understand the motion correctly, to give council members enough time to review and come up with possible amendments, would that be a council action, or would individual council members say, hey, I'd like to propose this amendment, and then?
I believe there's going to be an opportunity to discuss this plan again when they come back for approval on the contingency plan. So would that be an appropriate time, Mr. Villafana, for us to offer suggestions on any changes that we might have?
That'd be a good time to request staff to investigate additional modifications that you'd like to see in there, and then we would return at another subsequent council meeting with modifications that incorporated the requests.
Okay.
But you're going to be doing that with or without this motion, correct?
We're going to be coming back. We're going to be coming back with the second
water shortage contingency plan.
Right, for the emergency contingency plan, and that we're going to do for PHWA, the special meeting on the 9th, and then we'll be coming to City Council, Cindy, on the 6th. Would you be ready to come back with it for it then? And we could open the discussion again on any potential additions or subtractions that council members want on the urban water management plan.
Councilmember Hernandez, is that satisfactory if we bring it back on the next meeting, and then we all will have time to opine on possible amendments which any one of us may think are necessary? Or
well, I don't mean to complicate this, and I'm sorry, but I don't think that the intent is to bring the urban water management plan back. This is the approval, and then it goes on. But we are going to have a discussion on the a partner plan, a standalone plan that supports the water management plan. I think that's what Mr. Villafana was referring to. There's two plans here. One is one that's being proposed to adopt tonight, and the second one is a partner plan that is going to be approved at a later time.
That is correct, but we can, if the council sees something that they think should be modified in the urban water management plan, we can work on that. We can discuss that if it's agendized for the next council meeting. You approve it tonight, and then if you wish, because it is a living document, if you wish to make modifications or discuss details of the plan that was approved, that could be the appropriate time to do it if it's agendized.
Okay.
In addition to approving the emergency contingency plan.
Okay, when is the emergency contingency plan going to be presented for approval?
Cindy, that we're coming back on the 6th. Would that work for you?
Yes, I will coordinate with MK and staff, but I think we can make ourselves available for that date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have a second on the motion?
I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Clerk, are you clear on the motion?
Yes, sir, I am.
Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Perez.
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins.
Yes.
And Mayor Gama.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we are now moving on to business items, and there are none. So now we're going to move on to city manager comments and reports. At this time, we'll hear comments and reports from our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Good evening, everybody. Just a couple quick, but really important updates. Later this week on Thursday, we are doing public outreach with our business community and our nonprofit community here in Port Hueneme to discuss primarily needs of those two communities with regard to severe COVID impacts. In support of American Recovery Plan allocations that the city will be deciding on in order to support those who have suffered tremendously during COVID. Several emails to our business community went out a couple weeks back, inviting them to this outreach at 7:30 on Thursday morning. We're taking the first 30 mainly for Zoom and facilitation to receive input about needs of the business community, and that later day, special invites to nonprofits within the city to do the same thing. That input will feed the development of a project plan that will work with City Council to allocate the $5.2 million that the federal government has assigned to us. We've applied for that, and we should receive the first tranche of half of that amount this week, if not within the next 2 weeks. So that's the big one, is supporting our community with these funds dedicated to severely damaged groups, individuals, businesses, among other things within the city to recover from COVID. The second thing is last year, the City Council approved a Hero History and Heritage Policy document, which identified an annual Hero Award. The Hero Award is for extraordinary achievement by somebody in our community throughout the year that changed in a positive way the lives and the well-being of people in this community. That award will be recognized at the Hueneme Beach Festival in late August, but we are seeking nominations for that award right now. We've configured Go Hueneme, the handheld app that anybody can download in the App Store or the Google Play Store, and you can actually submit a nomination through Go Hueneme app to do that. So we want to make sure that the folks that did the most for this community have an opportunity to be recognized, and we'll do that publicly at the Hueneme Beach Festival. Now that COVID is basically releasing its grasp on the city and what we can do, I will personally, as well as have a couple of subject matter actually join me. We're going to do outreach to HOAs and other groups that we work with frequently. And so now's the time I'll go and ask folks for opportunities to talk to your HOAs at your annual or your monthly meetings, et cetera. And anything's on the table you want to ask or you want to know about, but we'll start doing that as well now that we have the opportunity to go out in public and do what we'd like to do. We've been wanting to do for a very long time. And with that, sir, I will return this back to you, Mayor, for the rest of the agenda.
Are we allowed to ask questions of our city manager? Sure.
Mayor Gama, I would suggest that they be very brief, as none of these items have been placed on the agenda for the public to participate in. It could potentially be a Brown Act violation.
I just wanted to inquire about the budget process and how we're doing.
There is a detailed schedule which has been shared with council with this suspense date of 16 August. To approve the next 2-year budget. Within about 2 weeks of that date, there will be a workshop that will look at not only the operational budget, which is the budget I'm talking about, but also frame an input for the capital plan that will include in a separate budget schedule to focus on the capital improvement plan and capital improvement budget.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on now to council member reports and comments. Who would like to go first? Okay, I'll go first. Saturday, we had the International Surfing Day here at Hueneme Beach, and it was a really, really cool event. We did our usual beach cleanup, and then we had more people showing up than usual to do beach cleanup because they were associated with the ISD. Surfrider was there, Pure Stoke was there, our Hueneme lifeguards were there, Real Guppies, Ventura Auto Band Society, Coastal Keepers, Drum Tiki, and a yoga instructor whose name I forgot. The event was very well received, and I hope that it's an event that we as a city, as a council, can embrace in future years and grow it. One of the highlights of the day was being with Pure Stoke, and these are great people. They've been out to Hueneme Beach over the last 4 years several times. They come unannounced and just quietly come to Hueneme Beach, and they take disabled kids, kids from challenging backgrounds, kids of all different abilities, and they take them surfing. And it's really, really great to see the smiles and the adulation that these young kids have. We had a lady, a Spanish-speaking lady whose daughter was out there, and her daughter just couldn't get enough of it, and it was quite amazing. So I really want to thank those dedicated servants for what they do. We collected wetsuits for being repurposed into yoga mats. The drum circle was very well attended and received, and it was really cool to see kids of all various abilities and backgrounds, and even adults and myself get involved. So again, I think it's a great event for our beach community in the future, and I hope that we could embrace it, grow it, and make it a really strong event here at Hueneme Beach.
I didn't even know it was happening. More publication would be helpful.
Yeah, it was our first time. Last year we mentioned ISD. This year we embraced it a little fuller, but now after the experience that we had this weekend, I think it's something that's an excellent match with our strategic plan. It's a great event for our beach park, and I think it's something that we all should embrace very, very heavily. Also, I just wanted to mention that today is the day where 7-day-a-week lifeguard service is occurring at Hueneme Beach. And also today is the day that the junior lifeguard program began. And it's really cool to see first timers come. They have to know how to swim, and then they could qualify to be a part of the program. And so if you get a chance, you may want to go out to the beach and just observe the professionalism of our lifeguarding staff. So many of the lifeguards have came up through the program, and to see them passing on that knowledge of the ocean to younger kids is just amazing. And it's a wonderful program to observe. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, who's next? Would you like to go, Councilwoman Perez?
Yeah, I just have to follow up on a comment during the public comment section about mental health services and lack thereof. Just want to make note that the county did not renew their partnership with NAMI this time around. So that is a shame. And I know some of the reasons why. So I'd like to find out a little bit more about that, because it can't just be as closed as NAMI not meeting their quota for having enough Spanish speaking people in their programs. I would have to think that everybody that's involved with NAMI is important. So, but I heard that, and it was a shame to hear.
Thank you. Councilmember Martinez, where are you?
I'm right here, Mayor Gama. I wanted to mention that I'm working on coordinating a basketball tournament at Miranda Park for our youth. I think it would be really fun, and if anybody wants to participate and or help, that would be great. You guys can email me, and hopefully then that can transition to maybe some other activities, such as maybe like a pickleball tournament or a volleyball tournament once the volleyball courts are up. I was notified by Charles that there's a little delay on the volleyball courts. But when they do come in, I think it's going to be nice because they're going to be adjustable volleyball courts, which you can raise for like men or women's or even youth, which will be nice.
Yeah, anything we could do to help, I'm there with you. That's awesome. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Rollins.
Well, let's see. I am representing you for the Ventura County Air Pollution Board, which will be tomorrow. They'll be approving their annual budget. It's about it. The pickleball community is excited that the city council did approve the renovation of the pickleball courts. I know that I welcome any of you to come down there on a weekend. There's 40 to 50 people ranging in ages from 8 years old to 85 playing. So that's kind of a neat thing. So that's about it.
Okay, Council Member Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a few items. First of all, I wanted to recognize Stephen Auclair, who is a member of our Citizens Advisory Group. He was recognized this week by the Social Justice Fund for his leadership to the LGBTQ plus community, the greater organization of Democrats and people with disabilities. So I just wanted to offer my congratulations to Stephen Auclair and let you know he had received that recognition. I participated in both of the Changing Demographics workshops put on by SCAG. If you are interested in the materials or the information shared during that discussion, it is online, so you can learn more about the tools and how we can obtain more information about, or new information about, our local demographics, which I think should be important to all of us. I also passed on the Green Business Program. I couldn't recall whether or not I had asked it to be on the agenda, and I look back on the minutes and it's there. So Javier Cecito hopefully will be on the agenda in a future upcoming meeting to speak about the Green Business Program. Also, VRSD, the Ventura Regional Sanitation District, due to budget constraints, loss of a major contract with the city of Oxnard, and other unfortunate changes, is downsizing, and they are, through attrition, retiring several of their key staff, members of their key staff, and then laying off some of their workers. So it was a real sad thing to hear. And I don't know, for any of you who sit on an agency board, if you've ever gone through something like that, it's pretty painful, and it's hard on staff, and it's hard on the agency. So Ventura Regional Sanitation District is the district that handles our trash. And I'm not sure in the future what VRSD is going to look like, but I just want to let you know we're having some issues there. The library book sale was also this weekend. The library every year does their book sale. They, of course, didn't do it last year, but it's a fundraiser. And they've asked me to ask fellow council members, if you're not already a member, please join them. They need all the support that they can get. And I guess it's kind of a, not a real rule, but it's an expectation that all council members will become members of our Friends of the Library.
Laura, on that, when is the next donate book session for the library? Do you know?
I think they take donations on a regular basis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they take donations on a regular basis. And then
and also they take donations from DVDs. I got 5 DVDs there Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. They always have great books there. I mean, you can't walk away empty-handed. And then I wanted to thank Mr. Spalding for sending us all the Rosenberg Rules of Order. I watched it another time. I had seen it before and went through the materials, but I just want to encourage the rest of the council, if you haven't read them, it's really going to help with the flow of our meetings. And there's a lot of good information in there, because we haven't been following it, and I'm guilty of it too. So I think I just wanted to encourage council to take the time to go through it, and thank Mr. Spalding for sending that to us. That's all I have.
All righty. Anyone else? Last minute comments or reports? Okay, we're moving on to the last item, request for future agenda items. I'd like to remind council members that all requested items will require a motion, a second, and a majority vote per adopted council policies to be placed on a future agenda. Does anybody have any requests for future agenda items? Go ahead, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if this would be an agenda item or part of the city manager's report, but I'd like to know the status of our emergency operations plan at our next meeting or a meeting following. Do I need a second on that?
Yes, you do.
Second.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Yes.
Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
and Mayor Gama.
Yes. Are there any other requests for future agenda items?
Yeah, no, I have a question. I know we received an email about having a city manager evaluation. Is that something that's already on the agenda?
No.
Then in that case, I think it would be a good idea to have a mid-year city manager evaluation, whether it's closed or open. I'm not really sure how we go about it, but
Pretty sure it would have to be a closed session item. Do we have a second?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Martinez,
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rollins,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez,
No, his evaluation's due in February. I think we can wait for that time. I'm voting no. Sorry.
Councilmember Perez,
Yeah.
and Mayor Gama.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you. Are there any other requests for future agenda items?
Yes, I don't know if that's also an appropriate time to talk about us talking to the union, the SEIU Local 721. But I'd like us to, again, whether it's an open or closed session, I would like us to talk about what's going on with the SEIU Local 721.
If you're making a motion to have a closed session item to review and staff that issue, I will second that.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Martinez,
Yes.
Mayor Gama,
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez, Councilmember Perez,
Yes.
and Mayor Pro Tem Rollins.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Are there any other requests for future agenda items? I'd like to adjourn this meeting. The time is now 8:38 p.m. The next meeting will be the regular meeting of Tuesday, July 6, 2021. Am I correct in reading that this will be a virtual meeting? I thought this was going to be our last Zoom affair. God help us. I hope it is.
Yes, Mayor, we're still pending construction finale here in the very near future.
But we can't have a meeting in the chambers?
We won't be prepared to do that quite yet, sir.
All right. Our next meeting will be the regular meeting of Tuesday, July 6, 2021. It'll be a virtual meeting, hopefully the last virtual meeting ever. And it will be broadcast at 6:30 p.m. from the City Hall Council chambers. Hope everybody has a safe and happy 4th of July. Thank you and
Good night.
see you soon.
Right.